So this is Gabriel Montoya with MaxBoxing.com, here with Mike Rodriguez, Cutman extraordinaire. And are you the owner of War Tape, or?
No, I'm actually partners with the owners. There's a couple of us. I got involved with them a couple of years ago because I do work in the fight game, and I was out there on the fight circuit, so we've kind of made it kind of an industry standard where a lot of fighters are using it, not just in boxing but in MMA. It's got a nice design with the VB War, which is the Vittori brothers. But aside from the nice design, it's actually the best tape in the business. Fighters don't use the tape because of the nice design. They use it because it protects their hands.
Yeah, because they're not looking at it, they're just making sure that it protects their hands.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's back up. You know, we met in LA at Fortune Gym, and
yes.
Give us a little bit of your background and how did you come to boxing?
You know, I grew up here, actually up here in the Bay Area.
Okay.
I was an amateur boxer, won the Golden Gloves, went to the regional state championships, boxed in the Air Force. I was going to turn pro back in 1988 after the Western Olympic trials. I actually got hired as a deputy sheriff for the LA County Sheriff's Department, and now 26 years later I work as a homicide detective with the Sheriff's Department. A few years back, after my kids grew up a little bit, I kind of got back into boxing, training some people, and then I started doing cuts, and that just, the last 4 or 5 years, the cuts have really taken off, and I'm fortunate and blessed that I work with some of the top fighters in the game.
How does one become a cut man? I think it's one of the more interesting jobs in the sport.
You know, everybody kind of has their niche, and because, you know, to get into the sport, and because I'm so busy as a homicide detective, I really couldn't be in the gym 4 or 5 hours a day with a fighter, taking him to spar, taking him to run. So I was looking for a way for me to get in, and I talked to some of the top cutmen in the business, guys like David Martinez, Carlos Vargas, Miguel Diaz, Joe Chavez, who kind of all schooled me, and I've had a chance to meet and work with many top trainers: John Bray, Robert Garcia, you know, Tommy Brooks, Stephen Edwards. I just worked with Rodrigo Mosquera. I worked with just a lot of top trainers, and now I'm working with about 20 different fighters that are, you know, throughout the country.
It's kind of it's an unusual art. I mean, you're learning how to basically do triage, like 1 minute at a time. I mean, how do you practice?
Yeah, you know, I think you kind of start off and you kind of make your bones working lower level fights. And I remember I started working MMA fights and guys that got cut and they bled a lot, and I just worked my way up with my guys that are 4-round fighters, 6-round, 10-round. Now guys like Shawn that are going to fight, you know, for the world title. And you just kind of I'm a big preparation guy. I watch a lot of things, I talk to a lot of people, and it's about having that rhythm in the corner, knowing your fighter and knowing what to do, that when something happens, you don't have to think about what you're going to do, you're going to react, because you have a very limited time in that corner. And I think it's nice now that I've moved up with some of my fighters, they have the confidence in me, just like I have the confidence in them, that we're going to be able to perform on a big stage, and no matter what happens, we're going to come out victorious.
Talk to me about how you guys hooked up, how you hooked up with Shawn Porter.
I'm working with Julian Williams, who's out of Philly, who's undefeated, and we had some mutual common friends. And when Shawn fought Alfonso Gomez on Showtime a year and a half ago, I worked his cut. I ended up stopping a very bad cut for him. Shawn and his dad have tremendous confidence in me, which I truly appreciate, and I've been with him now. We've worked, you know, nearly 50 rounds together. And it just, you get familiar with each other, and, you know, Shawn's had some cut issues, and they have the confidence in me that if something happens, that I'm going to be there to take care of him and give him that next round.
From homicide detective to boxing guy to cut man.
Yeah, I always tell people I'm in the blood business. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but you know, it's what I do, and somebody, you know, I love what I do in both jobs, and you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life.
Yeah, that's very true. You know, talk to me about Julian a little bit and his development.
Yes, I've been with Julian since about his second or third fight. Even though he's in Philly, I have a great rapport with his camp. I'm in camps with him. He just recently completed a camp with Kid Chocolate, getting him ready for the Gabriel Rosado fight. He's in camp with Wally Omatoso, Terrell Gaucher, and Danielle Livingston and Julian provided great preparation and work for Kid Chocolate. And you talk about a guy that just has so much heart and so much inspiration. Kid Chocolate's definitely one of those guys. He's a great guy to be in camp with.
You think Julian's kind of one of those well-kept secrets? I mean, we just got a hint of him in the Hugo Centeno fight, but we didn't get the whole thing.
Yes, you know, he's already beat former world champion Joaquim Alcine. He stopped Shawn Johnson, who nobody stops. I don't think he's a secret anymore. Julian is a really old-school, hungry kid. Him and his trainer were just at my house for a couple of weeks, so I got, being in camp, you get to know them even better. A lot of times you're just there for the fights. He's a hungry kid, and I see him as being a top fighter at 154 pounds in the next couple of years.
Give me your assessment of Shawn. I know you're in the camp, so obviously you're going to be leaning towards him a little bit, but you also get to see them. One, that was a pretty intense sparring session.
Yeah, James Kirkland is what I call one of the roughest cats in the business. I mean, you see his fights, you've seen his fights with Angulo, you just see the way he trains. James Kirkland is heavy. He's a heavy workload, and between those ropes, the waters get choppy with him. But they get real choppy. One thing about Shawn is the nicest kid outside the ring. He's got $1 million smile. And even though sometimes he may be perceived more of an athletic boxer, Shawn is a dog in there, and he's willing to put the work in, as you can see. And it was good work. Good work.
Where do you see his development? I mean, I don't know how long have you been up for this camp, but just in him working and the kind of confidence that he's getting working up with this team.
First and foremost, Shawn has the technique. He had a tremendous amateur background. Him and his dad are in sync. Everything's going good. It's just a matter of he's going to be in shape. Shawn's always in top shape. Now it's just a matter of preparing for Devin Alexander's and everything that Devin Alexander brings. Devin's a great fighter. He's got a great trainer. We know we're going to have to be super sharp that night and on our A game, because anything less than that, Devin goes back home to St. Louis with the title, and our plan is that it comes back to Shawn.
And where are you off to next now?
I'm headed back to LA to get back in the homicide work mode, but I'll be in Corpus Christi, Texas next week on an HBO card with Victor Pasillas. Okay. And I'll have a little bit of a break since Golden Boy restructured some cards around and moved them around, but I'll be December 7th with Shawn Porter for his title fight with Devin Alexander, and I'll also be with Julian Williams on that same card at the Barclays Center on Showtime.
Cool, man. Well, good luck to you and all that.
Thanks.
All right, man.